Hey, and welcome back to Web3 with Whitney. This is day 17, and I am very, very excited because I literally just set up my new Ethernet cable, which hopefully will solve and put an end to my tech issues. It actually made my upload speed much faster. So, fingers crossed, because all I want is for this to go smoothly. Today, I am going to talk mostly about diversity in the Web3 space because I think this is an incredibly important subject matter in general. I mean, I believe that there should be diversity and equality, inclusivity in every facet of our lives. But it's definitely felt like Web3 has been dominated by a less diverse crowd in terms of skin color, gender, age, background, location, so many factors. And this is something I want to do my best to highlight at least a few times a week, especially during this month with Black History Month. I want to make sure that I'm raising more awareness around people in the Web3 community that are supporting others. And I will get into that soon. But first, a few updates for you. So I actually made some small changes to the Web3 with Whitney website, which is linked in my profile. It's also in the description of the video if you're watching the recording. And if you go to whitneylauritsen.com/web3, there is now some more information about how to earn some free well coin. If you haven't watched my past videos yet, I have this coin on the platform called Rally, called the Well coin, and I want to give some away as frequently as possible, especially to those who participate. So when you go to this place of my this page on my site, you can enter in a question, and then you have the option of leaving your email address, and that would allow me to easily send you some well as a thank you for participating. I also want to reward people who watch live, who reach out to me privately. Really, if you just engage with the content here, I would like to send you some well. I want to help you get into the cryptocurrency world if you're interested in it, and make it easy for you. And for me, the easiest way to do that is through the Rally coin because I have plenty of it. Since it's my coin, I hold a high percentage of it and have it in abundance. So I want to give it away. The other things is, I guess that's it. Those were my updates. A quick little tip, and I also added this onto the Whitney Lauritsen website, is a resource section that I'm going to work on. Just anything that I tend to bring up frequently. Right now, the main thing that I bring up often is the Twitter list that I have on Web3. So I want to make this really accessible for you. This to me has been really helpful for my daily education on Web3. So if you go to this list, I actually learned a cool new thing to make it easier, because sometimes when I go onto Twitter, it feels really overwhelming. And today I was thinking there's got to be a way to see like the most popular tweets. Like if you go to something that's trending on Twitter, you can sort by like the top or most popular content. Well, it turns out you can do that with the Twitter list too. So if you go to the top right corner of the list and you click on the three buttons, you can switch from seeing the latest tweets to the top tweets. And I've been using this today just to get a quick overview of what's going on in that world, and lots of cool things happening. So be sure to check that out if you haven't yet. Actually, on that list, one of the top pieces of advice came from my friend Brian Fanzo, who said that if you have money to spare, don't go on Twitter because you'll probably end up buying more crypto or NFTs or spending more money. So you got to tread cautiously with your time and your money on Twitter. But if you're really mindful, you can learn a ton and connect with amazing people. This has been the case for me every single day. All right. Speaking of Twitter, actually, what I wanted to start off with today in terms of diversity is something I found on Twitter, and it's a great example. This is a pretty extensive website that I'm going to share on my screen for those watching outside of TikTok. And this is about a Black Caribbean artist named Halik Mal. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing his name right. And there's some really amazing information in here and perspectives on the Web3 world and what people are doing for good. And it's definitely worth a read. I've linked to it in the description of this video. If you're watching on TikTok, as I mentioned, go over to my website to find all these types of resources because I can't easily share them on TikTok. So I'm going to read some quotes from this. One is that there are a number of barriers to entry in the NFT space. It's overwhelmingly white and male. So even though I'm white, I'm still a minority in this space because, I mean, relatively. I try to use the word minority very mindfully, but I guess percentage wise, there are overwhelming percentage of white men in this space. And I've seen more white women enter this space, but actually, a lot of the women that I'm noticing tend to be white and not anything outside of that. So I'm really trying to pay attention to who else is in this space doing some great things and raising awareness. And I saw this woman, I believe, who wrote this piece. Her name is Kalia, if I'm pronouncing her name right. And she just did an incredible job writing this. So another point that she brought up is that a lot of crypto distractors in the US are either white or much more financially comfortable than the people they know who directly benefit from crypto every day. And there's a quote from someone else in the article who said, in general, it's like people who are, in comparison to the rest of the world, very privileged, who don't have any kind of issues with payments or getting their work out there per se, or even just living in a system where they may be under some kind of oppression from the government or from police. To his point, there were some Harris polls that found that 23% of Black Americans surveyed and 17% of Hispanic Americans said they owned cryptocurrency, compared with only 11% white Americans. And that's kind of interesting, right? Because that kind of goes against what my perspective has been. But I think this is about ownership versus creation or speaking out on something. So I'm finding that a lot of the quote authorities and the experts in the Web3 world tend to be white men, but it seems like there are a ton of benefits for people of all different backgrounds to owning it. And this article gets into some really good points for that reason. Now, Halik Mal, who's the main subject of this piece, is a Black Caribbean artist, as I mentioned, who remains optimistic about blockchain technology and points to a radical utopian future where, instead of being beholden to wealthy institutions and corporations, artists like him can empower themselves and invest in each other. And this is all about building community wealth with others. And this is the description that I'm seeing time and time again of Web3. As I've said, the word community, I feel like comes up every single video I do. I think that's because I'm really passionate about community and I love that element of Web3. I love that promise there. I love this idea of people working together to feel empowered, of people feeling like they're able to feel more equal and contribute and better understand things. And there's just countless benefits. And if you're tuning in on TikTok, I cannot recommend this article enough that I'm reading from right now. So I encourage you to connect with me either on Twitter or go to my website, whitneylauritsen.com, where you can find a link to this article. And if you have any trouble, just let me know. I'll send it over to you. And a few more quotes that I wanted to read from that. So, contrary to Web3's reputation as a playground for the privileged, the artist in this article, Halik, is on a mission to empower artists and young people from his native Barbados to adopt a blockchain-based approach to creating. He also said, for a lot of people, life is not about money. Money is something that's been forced on us as an aspect of the sustenance that we need to survive. But we have to be mindful of the fact that the only true essence of life is the experience that we have. I love that. I mean, I think that's also an important thing in the Web3 space is so many people tend to make this about money or power or community, right? But the experiences that we have are so key. And I think this is where artists really have a great opportunity to make big differences in the Web3 world. And we're already seeing this with NFTs. And in this article, he gets into a project that he's been working on for at least a few months, maybe longer, I can't remember. But his focus is on uniting and empowering Caribbean and Afro artists or dysphoric artists. I don't know what that means. Um, and it's called Holders Land. Yeah, Holder. I was like, is it Holders Island? It's Holders Land. And the article says it's undoubtedly a leader in the Web3 space when it comes to fostering a diversity of voices and aligning crypto with social and radical justice values. So you can find Holders Land on Twitter. You can find Halik on Twitter. That's all linked in this article. If you want to go look it up, it's on this website called FWB, and it's called Halik Mall Wants Artists to Build Wealth Together. It was published today, actually. And the writer is who I found this through on her Twitter account. And one more quote that I thought was really relevant here is that especially in countries with fewer economic opportunities for artists, crypto and NFTs can provide an alternative revenue stream. And the article really gets into how that's being done. And I think that that's really helpful for those that view Web3, crypto, NFTs, the metaverse through some negative lenses, some skepticism. A few episodes ago, I did a focus on what it will take for Web3 to get into the mainstream. And I had a better idea of why people are skeptical. Where is that coming from? And if you're feeling skeptical of it, you're probably not if you're watching this video, but it's possible. Maybe you're watching because you do feel skeptical. I think it's really helpful to look at articles like this, artists like Halik, connect with people on platforms like Twitter or Discord, as I've mentioned, and really see what they're doing to make a difference in the world, because there are a lot of amazing people doing that. The other space, as I mentioned from the beginning, is gender or non-binary, and people of different sexualities, and basically anyone outside of like a white, straight, cisgendered male, which I think feels at least the dominant type in this Web3 world. There's so much going on. Today, I spent a ton of time in Discord as a way for me to prep for this video. And I found a bunch of job opportunities that really excited me, especially in the female-focused Discords that I'm in. So one of them, actually, I have a direct link to, and I put in the description of this video. Again, if you're watching on TikTok, you can either message me or go to my website to find any of the links that I reference. This is a virtual career day, and this actually might not have been specifically for women. It also looks like it's was created in the UK, and I just thought it would be kind of neat for anyone who's interested in exploring a career in Web3. You can go to this virtual career day, which is happening February 19th through the 20th, and it's mostly around fintech. But that's including cryptos, NFTs, Web3, AI, machine learning. Let me share my screen on this. RoboAdvising. I don't know what that is. I'm gonna add that to my list of something to look up, because every day I try to also expand my knowledge on terminology. And reg tech, I don't know what that means. Maybe regulation, insure tech, is that related to insurance? I will find out and get back to you. But there are a ton of opportunities out there, and you can go to this career day. There's all these cool companies involved with this, and it's completely free. So the link to this, again, is in my bio, or you can go to Eventbrite and search for it. It's called Virtual Career Day, and it's from Work in Fintech. As I mentioned, there were also a number of job opportunities that were posted in Discords. And if any of you are interested in joining some Discord servers, I wasn't sure if I wanted to link directly to them, because I am not sure if the I don't know. I'm still learning Discord, let's put it that way. So I didn't put them in my links, but I wanted to just highlight a few of the opportunities. One of them, and you could go look up this Discord on your own in the meantime, it's She256. I do not remember how I found it. I often just jump into Discords to check them out. And in their server, they have a whole job-careers section. And there are so many cool opportunities. People hiring engineers, I'm seeing on here, product management. This is something that's really big. A lot of people that run Discord servers are also looking for community managers. So these are things that you will likely get paid for, or maybe you could volunteer and just learn something like Discord, learn more about Web3, do an internship, or these different types of things, but hopefully you'll make some money from it if that's what your aim is. And there was also another on this Discord server called Meta Gamma Delta, which is on a mission to support and fund women-led projects in the Web3 space. They have a full job section in there too. And one of them looked really cool to me. There's this woman who's involved with a Web3 marketing agency, and a lot of my work is based in marketing, so I thought that was really cool. And they primarily work with female-led projects and Asian-based companies. So I'm trying to find out some more info on that. But there's just so much. There's so many cool opportunities. And if you don't fall into the white male, cisgendered, straight category, there are a lot of people out there that are in this with you. And Ryan said, I'm going to try to read this. It didn't make sense. Ben to have no place in the job industry. End of story. I don't know what that means, but feel free to rephrase, and I would be happy to better address it, Ryan. Maybe you said better to have no place in the job industry? Well, if that's what you meant, I mean, this is part of the joy of Web3 is that there's a lot of financial benefits, and some of them might be so much more in alignment with your whole passions. And I still don't know what you mean with your follow-up question. Oh, maybe you're trying to say women have no place in the job industry, end of story. And you know what, Ryan, that is exactly an example of why I'm advocating for diversity, because I absolutely disagree. If that's what you're saying, I want to leave room for perhaps misunderstanding you. But I know sometimes like these platforms, the downside of doing live is you open yourself up to trolls and just random people dropping in and trying to like ruin your day or frustrate you. And you know what? This sort of stuff doesn't frustrate me. I think it's actually really important to have people come to push your buttons because it reminds you of what you stand for and what you believe in. And I believe everybody deserves to have financial structure and equality and resources and access to things. And I think we're going to see a lot in this space evolving. And that's, as I mentioned with that article about Halik, so much is happening all across the world, and it shows me a lot of promise. Okay, one last thing before I wrap up today's live stream is, as I mentioned, I like to look into terminology that is used regularly in Web3 or in Web3 adjacent content. And I'm also always trying to be really transparent about what I know and what I don't know. And one thing, as I mentioned before, I am still learning a lot about the stock market. I did a whole video about that a few days ago and how cryptocurrency differs from the stock market. And it taught me a lot doing that research. And I actually did not fully understand what it meant to be bearish and bullish. I see this a lot on Twitter, people saying like, I'm bullish about blank, I'm bearish about blank. And I had like a vague idea of what that meant, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to really make sure I understand it. So the simplest way to describe this is that someone who's bullish believes that the price of something or the value of something is rising. They're generally very optimistic about whatever they're talking about, and they see favorable economic conditions. Now, sometimes I see people use bullish a little out of that context, but I guess it still means that you're optimistic about where things are headed. And then bearish is someone who believes that the price is going to go down and they're feeling pessimistic. So to me, I just think of it as like optimistic, pessimistic, in whatever context it is. And if that was really obvious to any of you, I think it's so important to show that each of us are in our different journeys of learning about money, all different elements of finances. And I'm not afraid to admit where my ignorances are. I think that makes it like easier for all of us to connect, right? And ask questions. It kind of reminds me of when you're in a group setting and somebody is saying something that it seems like the entire group understands except for you, but you're too afraid to vocalize the fact that you don't understand. I've been in that countless times, especially when it comes to finance, especially when I'm the only woman in the room, especially when I'm the youngest person in the room. Like that tends to happen where I feel like I'm less than. And I'm trying to feel more empowered and confident and not putting myself in that mental position of feeling less than anybody. Certainly, uh, there's comparisons, right? It's all relative. But if we can be more equal, at least in the way that we think and our knowledge, and open minded to the fact that other people might not know something and not assuming that, I think that that can make all of this space more accessible. The other term that I've seen thrown around a bunch is shill. And I had like, again, a very surface level understanding of it. It generally means someone that's trying to like covertly advertise something, spreading buzz around it, endorsing something, and trying to be sincere about it when in fact they have a financial benefit or some sort of benefit for promoting something. And another definition is a person who publicly attempts to constitute, increase, or sustain credibility and or approval of an entity without disclosing that they have a relationship with that entity. Um, and that's something I'm personally trying to be very transparent about. As I've said, I think this is the big key. Something that bothers me a lot in the Web3 space is it does feel like anybody who's talking about this or advocating for it, maybe they're commonly shills, because it feels like they have an agenda. And I suppose we always have an agenda. Is there a way for any of us to be altruistic? Maybe not. But I think being transparent about our agenda is key, or at least like anytime we're saying something really um, overt, I guess, explaining why. In fact, I think on my second live stream, someone asked if I was just shilling my cryptocurrency, the Wellcoin on Rally. And I said, well, that's not the reason that I'm doing these videos, but yes, certainly there's an advantage if people get my cryptocurrency. It boosts up the value of it, but the way that Rally works is that if you buy or hold some of that coin, it actually benefits you too. And I did a whole video about the difference between cryptocurrency, NFTs, and MLMs, and that was kind of interesting just to look at like certainly there's overlap. And I think you are going to find a lot of people shilling things, a lot of people hyping things up, trying to make an NFT or a coin more valuable because it benefits them. And that's why right now the Web3 space requires a lot of awareness and a lot of um, being like mindfulness, but also not rushing. I think it's very easy to click on a link and trust that the person wasn't trying to scam you. But this happens all the time in platforms like Discord where people put in links to things and you click on them and you're hacked, or you click on them and you buy something and it turns out it's fake. That is so commonplace, and I think it can be scary. So now every time I'm on Twitter or Discord or wherever else in the Web3 world, I just try to like validate somebody and what they're talking about before I click. And also, I mentioned how at the beginning of my cryptocurrency journey, when I was getting into things like Dogecoin, I mean, even to this day on Twitter, I just see all these people trying to pump the coin. And now that I've become more aware of it, I understand like, all right, they're trying to pump it so that maybe they can dump it after it reaches a certain point, or maybe they just want to hold on to it, but they benefit from it getting all this hype. So just, taking a step back and questioning things, being skeptical actually works in your benefit in ways of Web3. I think you can step into this space while remaining skeptical and increasing your awareness, double checking things. In fact, for me, I message my friends that I know in this space. I've mentioned, I think in yesterday's video, how when I was signing up for OpenSea yesterday, I was a little skeptical. I was like, I hope I'm not putting myself at risk for anything. So I messaged my friend Brian Fanzo, who's deeply involved in the NFT world. And I was like, okay, did I do anything that is gonna lead me to get scammed or taken advantage of or hacked? And he like answered my questions and I felt more confident. And he basically reassured me that OpenSea is fairly protected, but similarly, it's really important to keep track of this stuff day by day. I think also yesterday, something in the cryptocurrency world got hacked and somebody like stole a huge amount of money. And that can happen too. So you can also go back to my video I did where I talked about security. I'll keep you in the loop along the way as I learn more about keeping things secure. But for me, the biggest lesson is slow down, double check things, don't trust everyone, have an open mind, and collect some trustable resources, people that you can reach out to that may be more aware. And so hopefully, I will get my own Discord off the ground so we can have a community space together for any of you that have enjoyed this series and want to meet other people who are watching and listening to, and create a better sense of community. And I will also look into Discord more and send you some more links to servers that I've joined that have been valuable and keep you on the loop so you can continue to grow your network of amazing people in Web3. Well, I'm going to wrap up today. Thank you so much for watching. I have had 0 tech issues. So I am so grateful for that. Finally, after 17 live videos in a row, I have figured it all out. And, and for anyone who does live video, here's the trick. It's probably your internet connection. But for me, it was also this microphone and the cable being a little wonky. So once I replaced the cable on my mic and I hardwired into the Ethernet, I was good to go. But behind the scenes, there's a lot more that I do to get all these lives up and running. So if anyone ever wants to know like my process, happy to share that with you. I will share anything. I am an open book, aside from parts of my personal life. I try to keep my elements of my life a little private, just to like separate my online life from my offline life. But in general, anything business related, anything marketing, tech related, Web3 related, of course, I am happy to answer. So reach out. My contact information is at whitneylauritsen.com. I'll remind you one more time, if you go to my Web3 website, there is a whole Q&A section basically that I set up, or topic request section. And if you send me a question or a topic request, I want to reward you in some free Wellcoin. And hey, Jackie, I just want to say a shout out to you on TikTok. If you're watching on TikTok, you can find the link to my website in my bio and enter in a question. I'll send you some well. And yeah, you can also direct message me on whatever platform you're watching on too. I try to make the barrier to entry very easy. I love hearing from people. I love it when people participate, and I want to do whatever I can to support you with your own Web3 journey. So that's it for today. If you missed the full recording, it'll be up on the same website, whitneylauritsen.com/Web3. There's a whole audio only podcast version of the show if you haven't checked it out yet. There's a playlist on YouTube, which is kind of the hub for all the videos. And there's also links to all the other platforms if you want to go watch elsewhere next time. I'll be back again tomorrow and the next day and the next day. I'm doing this indefinitely. I'd love to have you here live. And I hope you say hi. Otherwise, if you do not watch live. Bye for now.